A lot of words came out of Sean McVay's face hole about the Rams offense. We're going to try to simplify. Questions arise about how the Kings will welcome back Drew Doughty, and LAFC bids adieu to its second best scorer. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. So, it's January 26, 2025. Welcome back to the Sanctum Sanctorum of LA Sports. You know, it was 5 years ago today. I pulled into a parking lot near Minute Maid Park in Houston. I was going to watch the Royal Rumble with my friends, and my phone buzzed with a really kind of crushing update. The passing of Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna. It's the kind of thing that makes you sit in your car and stare at it in disbelief for a few minutes. So, on a Sunday, the Lord's Day, if you believe as I do, take more than a moment. Not just to thank Him for the blessings in your life, but to understand that one of the blessings that you do have in your life is the people around you. And appreciate the people around you. Now, if you like being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. Now, before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. Lakers 118, Golden State 108. Anthony Davis scored 36 points. LeBron James added 25. Jared Vanderbilt played 12 minutes in his first game back since missing almost an entire calendar year with injuries. Now, he scored only 2 points, but that's not his game. He grabbed 4 rebounds and 3 steals. The Lakers were in awe of his effort last night. Meanwhile, Clippers 127, Milwaukee 117. James Harden, remember him? 40 points. And that's one of the things that happens when you have an elite player towards the twilight of his career. You can't do that every night like you used to. But once in a blue moon, you see it. So appreciate it. Norman Powell added 33. Columbus 3, Kings 2 in overtime. Quentin Byfield and Philip No score. You know, I've been all over the country. There are a few cities that I hate more than Columbus, Ohio. So that one was a wee bit of a bitter pill. Meanwhile, there are no games involving LA teams today. Again, consider spending time with the people you love. After all, the playoff games don't begin for another few hours. So let's get to the news. Sean McVay talked about what he wants from the Rams offense next season, and it was a lot of words. All the words. More than all the words. Go out, grab yourself a Webster's dictionary. It still doesn't account for the number of words that Sean McVay was talking about the Rams offense. And then there were so many words, you start looking for hidden meanings. Like the lyrics of Pink Floyd, only you can't find any. Quote, I think the biggest thing is there would be a little bit more versatility. The easy answer is to complain about the injuries that we had that threw off the continuity. And while that might be true, you can't allow that to inhibit us the way that it did. That's nobody's responsibility but my own. I think we're fully functional. I think even our teaching progressions for the totality of the group. How do you utilize the off season? And how are you making yourself more versatile from a personnel perspective or from a run variety of perspective? These are the things that I'm excited to dive into. I was talking to Liam Cohen the other day. By the way, guys, are your eyes starting to water? Are they starting to roll back yet? Because trust me, if I was a scribe in the back of the presser, I'd be slapping myself awake now. Anyway, one of the coolest things when you watch them evolve with the way they ran the football, some of the variety of the personnel groupings, I thought it was a cool reflection, blah, 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 blah. Look, it is a very long, windy way of saying, yo, Liam, why the hell didn't you do that when I gave you the keys to the Rams offense a couple of years ago? It's coach speak. You have to really try to figure out if there's anything worthwhile there. Now, I have an opinion of what the Rams need, and I can do it in a lot fewer words because it's not as complex as Sean McVay's playbook or Liam Cohen's newfangled way of running the ball. The Rams were slow, okay? Cooper Kupp has undergone a ton of surgeries on his legs, and now he's in his 30s. One more surgery, and he's going to look like Oscar Pistorius running routes. The Rams only scored 4 touchdowns on offense that were longer than 19 yards. Only 1 touchdown was longer than 39 yards. In other words, everything was a long slog down the field. The Rams were dead last in the NFL with just 2 touchdowns of more than 30 yards. What that tells me, the wide receivers didn't get open on deep routes. That is a lack of speed. Matthew Stafford loves throwing deep routes. I mean, if you remember back when they first traded for him, they go up against the Bears. The first drive he had as a Rams quarterback ended with a bomb. So, that leads us to ask questions about other players in the roster, not just Cooper Kupp. A longtime viewer asked a few days ago about Tutu Atwell. He's the only speed guy that they have, but he has not been consistent enough to get on the field. Here's another player where lack of speed makes a big impact. A couple of days ago, we were talking about, Kyren Williams, he could get himself a raise. Giving him a raise is on the table. Well, I can give you 2 reasons why you don't go overboard for him. He fumbled it 6 times, including once in the Rams' playoff loss to the Eagles. But more than that, Kyren Williams had just 2 runs of more than 18 yards this year. He can move the chains. He just doesn't move them in big-ass chunks down the field. By the way, one other final note on the Rams offense. I do research every single day for this channel, obviously. And I came across a few more of those hot, sticky trade rumors for Stafford again. This was just like before the trade deadline. If you recall, they were all over the interwebs because the Rams had started the season 1-4. Oh, the hot, sticky rumors, the hotness, the stickiness. Somebody get themselves some hand sanitizer. It just doesn't get much more gooey. And we go through this over and over. With the Dodgers, with the Lakers, with the Rams. It is all clickbait porn. All of it. When it comes to Matthew Stafford, put away the lotion. Keep your sock clean. The LA Times asked Les Snead what happens if Stafford does not retire. Quote, he still has years with us, so he's still a Ram. Unquote. That's a long way to go before you even consider trading the guy. He's a Ram. Bad things would have to happen in bunches for him to no longer be a Ram. Now, Snead listed Stafford, Kupp, Rob Havenstein, and Tyler Higbee as players, quote, coming to the end of their careers, unquote, which means there may be restructuring down on other players' contracts. Havenstein and Higbee. Or maybe Havenstein they think is replaceable. We'll have to be patient. Drew Doughty did not play in the first game of the current Kings road trip, and that makes it 46 games so far this year. But a return from a broken ankle is considered imminent. The question is, how do you work the guy back in? You're looking at a 16-year vet, plays about half the game every time he's out on the ice. It is a legit conundrum, if you're a Kings fan as I am. Consider, for years, Doughty always was a staple on the top pair. And in the last few years, that meant he would be paired with Mikey Anderson. But Vladislav Gavrikov has stepped into that top pairing in Doughty's place, and the Kings didn't miss a beat. Gavrikov has been nails. But what happens then if you say, okay, well, we'll drop Doughty to the second pair? Well, now he's with somebody who's pretty inexperienced. It's either going to be Brant Clark or Jordan Spence. Clark, by the way, would be a particularly awkward pairing. Doughty likes to gamble on offense, and Clark is seen as somebody who's eventually going to quarterback the power play. 2 offensive defensemen? That's a tad risky. Moreover, Jim Hiller is starting to try to figure out ways where he might have to adjust. Hiller has often put out a roster of just 11 forwards with 7 defensemen instead of the traditional 12-6. Hiller was doing that, I believe, because he was trying to spread the responsibilities out instead of having 6 guys and, like, say, a Jordan Spence or Brant Clark getting more minutes, getting too many minutes out there when they're not used to the NHL. So there's a lot of adjustments that the Kings are going to have to make in the coming weeks just to fit in a surefire Hall of Famer. And don't get me wrong, it's a nice problem to have. But still. LAFC has finalized the transfer of midfielder Matus Bogusz to Cruz Azul in Liga MX, and it is a startling move to an extent. I mean, consider how effective Bogusz was for the black and gold. 20 goals last year. They call him a midfielder, but you often see him joining the attack, not facilitating it. And that is startling because he's part of the reason LAFC has had to rebuild their midfield on the fly. But you say, okay, well, why would they do that? Well, here's the not so startling part. Cruz Azul paid LAFC $10 million for the guy. It's the most LAFC has ever earned in a player transfer. The previous high mark was $6 million for Diego Rossi back in 2021. And if you're a Galaxy fan, every so often you hear rumors about Gabriel Peck. And would he wind up going to the Premier League for a transfer fee of $25 million? Now, for those of you guys who don't follow MLS as much, you sit there and go, whatever, $10 million. The Dodgers sneeze and $10 million comes flying out of Andrew Friedman's nose. But in MLS, if the Galaxy, for example, did sell a Gabriel Peck and got $25 million, that more than pays for the entire roster. Now, circle back to LAFC. You've paid almost half of your payroll just by selling off one guy. So, yeah, you make deals like that. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers conducted a virtual interview with Chargers pass game coordinator Marcus Brady on Saturday for the offensive coordinator vacancy on Todd Bowles' staff. It's the second team that Brady is interviewed with. Last week, he also chatted things up with New England.